So let's get into the pre-workout nutrition. Okay, think of this as fuel for your engine because essentially that is what it is. It's really, really important. The goal is to give your body energy that's easy to digest, which won't weigh you down either. Okay, it sets you up for progressive overload in a gym. Because ultimately, guys, if you're not fueling properly and on a consistent basis, you're gonna make way less progress than you would otherwise. Okay, it's really important to remember that. Timing matters. Okay, so some people are different. For me, an hour to 90 minutes is kind of perfect, the sweet spot, if you will, for those slower release carbs. That's what I've noticed for myself. Some people it might even be 2.5 hours, right? But I've just put 1 to 2 because that's usually a good gauge. But do try and get that gauge for yourself. For me, as I said, 60 to 90 minutes is when I have that bigger meal before my session. And I always have bagel and eggs personally. That's my kind of go-to but before my session. So if you only have 30 minutes, for example, some of you can, only train after work, let's say, and you're in a bit of a rush, okay, 15 to 30 minutes is all you have to think of something or get something in. I would stick to something light and simple in that case. For example, a squares bar, which I'm a big fan of, and fruit. So the thing about the squares bar as well and fruit, if you're having that 20 minutes before, for example, like as well, if you've had that bigger meal an hour before or 90 minutes before, and you can have something that's faster release carbs, like a banana or squares bar, 20 minutes before the session, and it fits into your calories as well in that day, then feel free to do so, guys, if it fits in to the targets, because that will only add to the energy. And that's something that I don't do as much now because I'm currently in a fat loss phase and I'm nearly finished. So my calories are relatively low for my body weight. But, you know, a few weeks ago when my calories were a bit higher, that would be something that I utilize. So it's just about knowing if it can fit into your targets or not. But yeah, it's a good way to get that extra bit of energy in. But yeah, ideally 1 to 2 hours before training for that bigger meal. What to eat? Okay, so carbs are primary fuel. They give your muscles quick energy. Examples: oats, rice cakes, potatoes, rice, fruit, whole grain bread, pasta, etc. So right now, as I said there a second ago, bagel and eggs is my go-to about 60 to 90 minutes, as I said before. But for about 2 or 3 years, guys, I was having oats with, I think I mentioned it down here somewhere, um, with fruit and scoop of protein. So that would have been my go-to for like 2 years. I simply just got a little bit sick of it, but I still think it's a great meal. So what you can do there before your session as your bigger meal is a certain amount of oats, let's say 60 to between 60 to 100 grams. Okay, and what you do with the protein powder is you put 30 grams, for example, or 20 grams is fine as well, into a small glass where you can put like a couple of mils of water in with it, let's say 15 to 20 mils with it, and mix it together, and it becomes this little kind of paste. For example, if you have a chocolate flavored protein, it can literally be like putting chocolate sauce onto your porridge. And then I would always add something like blueberries or raspberries. That's what I mean by the fruit. And that was my go-to for probably more than 2 years, actually, maybe 3 or 4, to be honest. So that's a really good option also. And then protein helps with muscle protection. So a little bit of protein before your session is good. I would just prioritize carbs. But yeah, it's important because they're going to be broken down in the gym, your muscles. Examples of that protein can be Greek yogurt, protein shake, lean chicken, eggs, meat, etc. So keep fats relatively lower pre-workout. They can slow down digestion and make you feel a bit heavier, which is not ideal when you're in the gym. Like I have bagel and eggs, 60 to 90 minutes, as I said before my session, and there is a little bit of fat content in those eggs. But what I do is I have 2 or 3 eggs, but I have egg whites on top of that then. So I'm actually not getting a whole lot of fat. It's only a minimal amount really, because the egg whites have all protein in it really. So I add about 2 egg whites to that, just for reference. And then obviously I'm getting a lot of carbs from the bagel. So it works really well for me personally. If you've not tried bagel and eggs as a meal, would recommend, and pink Himalayan salt on the eggs for extra electrolytes also. And it's healthy fats as well at the end of the day. Example meals: 90 minutes to 2 hours before, chicken with rice and veggies, bowl of oats, like I've just said there, with fruit and a scoop of protein. Remember how to do the protein, by the way. And if you're unsure about what I said in terms of making that paste, let me know on WhatsApp. It's a game changer. It's actually so nice, depending on the flavor, of course. By the way, a really good website to get your protein, guys, is Perform. It's spelled like PER and then the number 4 and then N. I would highly recommend looking on there. And I think the flavor I was using for the oats was cinnamon, um, something like that. Yeah. If you're wanting to know anyway, let me know. But there's a lot of flavors on there. It was cinnamon something that I was using, and it worked really well with the oats. So low calorie pasta bolognese, another good option. Rice with tuna, fruit salad with a protein snack like a protein pudding or protein milk, glass of protein milk, for example, and then bagel and eggs, like I've mentioned, is my go-to at the moment, but that can change. Post-workout nutrition after training, the goal shifts. It's all about recovery and repair, also restoring glycogen. Okay, so why it matters: training uses up your glycogen stores, your muscles' carb tank, essentially, and lifting creates tiny tears in the muscle fibers. If you didn't know that, a lot of you will have known that, but a lot of you won't either. So it actually creates tiny tears in the muscles, and you need protein to repair and grow stronger. It's really, really important that you get protein. And there is this kind of, I'm 7 minutes in, guys. Hopefully I can get the under 10 minutes. A lot of people think there's like a anabolic window after your session to rush and get the protein in straight away. That's not the case, but I wouldn't leave it too long either. Okay, and I would aim for 30 to 60 grams within an hour and a half, 2 hours of you finishing your session. So whey protein, eggs, lean meats, tofu, etc., chicken, all that jazz. Usually my go-to is chicken personally. And then carbs, refill the tank. Sweet potatoes, rice, pasta, fruit, Cocoa Puffs, another great option to replenish those glycogen stores. So to be clear, right, I would prioritize protein more so after the session, but before the session I'm prioritizing carbs more. Okay, and then fats after the session, optional. They're fine here in small amounts, but don't let them dominate the meal. Example meals: protein shake with banana. That can be something quick. Some people aren't, like, they don't have a high appetite after training. That can be a nice option. Salmon, sweet potato, and greens. Tofu or chicken stir fry with rice. Steak, baby potatoes, 100 grams of veg. Wrap with minced meat, low-cal cheese, veg. A few options there for you. So takeaways. I'm going to wrap it up here. Here's the simple formula. Before training, carbs focus with protein, light on fat. After training, protein focus with carbs, fats optional. Okay? If you dial in these two meals, you'll notice more energy during your workouts, but after your workouts as well. Faster recovery and better results over time. The workout is only half the battle in my eyes, and that's something to take away for sure, because it starts really with the food you're putting into your body before you perform that session that day. Like, honestly, do remember that, because it's really, really important over time. It's something that you want to nail down. So, and that's something I've seen in my experience with training myself and with training clients over time. So if you have any questions, drop me a DM. Just under 10 minutes, fucking smashed it. Come on. I'll chat to you on WhatsApp, guys. Appreciate the vote again, and hopefully you took something away from it. All right, have a great day.